Awesome. Okay. Nope. Good. No problem. Okay. So I am on the Dispo Dragons channel, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna be going live there and then full screen. Let's see. Can you see that on Zoom? Okay. All right. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, don't even worry about it. Okay. All right, so we are live on Zoom and we are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube. So thank you for joining me. We do this for our school community. Every Tuesday we go live. But if you haven't noticed lately, I've been going live every day for about 30 minutes now just to help you build your businesses. Okay, so if I'm going to do this, all I ask in return are a couple things. Number one, keep giving me questions. So keep sending me direct messages, telling me about some of the challenges that you're having, because what it does is it helps me come up with the content and with the stuff that we're going to discuss during these live trainings. So I've already gotten a bunch. I mean, I have stuff that's going to last me at least another 2 weeks. But by all means, please, if you're having a challenge with something, send it over to me, and we'll go over it during these live trainings. So today we're going to be talking about how to get your first wholesale real estate deal. Couple housekeeping things that I'd like to do. Number one, I want to go over some mindset training. Okay, this is a video of me, and this was me in our office when we had our office to work out of, and that was at 9 p.m. at night. 9 p.m. at night, and I'm still in the office, and I'm still working, and I'm all by myself, and I'm doing the things that I tell everybody to do on a daily basis. And this was just an example of it. I think that night I must have stayed till about 10:30 or 11 o'clock p.m. And I'm sharing that with people because the truth is, a lot of times people don't realize what it is that we have to go through when we are building our businesses. If you ever catch me looking up at the camera, it is simply because I am looking at the comments, so don't take it personal. I'm just reviewing what some people are saying, so just bear with me. Anyway, so that was the first slide. A second thing that I want to talk about is investing in yourself and investing in education. This was a picture that I caught of Pace Morby when I went to one of his meet and greets. I am a part of the community. I invested in the community. I attend some of the masterminds. I try to go to some of the free meetups every time I can, anytime he's in town, or within at least an hour to an hour and a half driving distance. This was a picture that I took of him as he was speaking to an audience of people. I just happened to be right there front row, and I captured that picture, and he caught me doing it, and that was the eye contact that he made with me when we did it. This is me with Henry Washington, and if you guys don't know who Henry Washington is, he is a member of the Bigger Pockets. He is also a real estate investor, and he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of doors that that he personally owns. And when he calls them doors, he's calling them units. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Now, why am I showing you guys this stuff? Because I invested a lot of money and a lot of time to be in the room with some of these leaders in our business and our organization. And so I share that with you because there's a lot of times people want to try to do this on the free. They want to try to cut out as many expenses, or they're going through a time or a period in their life where they just don't have any real money to invest in their business or in themselves. And so my message to everybody is, look, you can do that. You can get by doing this for free. You can get by trying to not use any tools. You can get by trying to not to use any mentorship. It's just going to take you a lot longer. It's going to be a lot harder, and you're going to end up getting frustrated. So that being said, we do have a profit sharing mentorship in our organization, okay? And I think it's really, really good, all right? So if you go to start.dispodragons.com, start.dispodragons.com, you can take a look at our mentorship program, and it goes into exactly what it's like. But essentially, it is you having a closer on call. You are having a bona fide mentor on call when you need them so that they can help you close your deal. deals. So they'll help you close your leads, they'll help you close your contracts, they'll help you draft up the contracts, they'll help you close the deals, they'll help you find the buyers. They will literally walk you through the entire process. You will shadow them as they go through the entire process, step by step by step, and then everybody wins. You get paid, they get paid. It's all part of a profit sharing mentorship. Now, the reason that this makes this so good, and I'm just going to speak from experience, I want to help as many people as I possibly can. There are mentors out there that want to help as many people as they possibly can. We get messages from people all the time on how to help them build their business. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is when you are dealing with a leader in this profession, when you are dealing with someone that has this business and then they have this as their career, they have a family, they have their faith, they have their fitness, they have all these things that are going on in their lives, and then you've got all these people that are trying to get their attention so that they can help them build their business. You are essentially asking them to distract themselves from what puts food on the table. You're essentially asking them to distract themselves from their faith, from their family, from their physical fitness and their health. You're asking them to distract themselves from that stuff. And so when you're doing that and you're asking them to do it for free, right? How much incentive do you think that person has to actually go out there and help you and mentor you? Now, look, all of us want to help. We all want to give information. We're all doing things like this for free, and we're all doing it to help people out. But with our profit-sharing mentorship, what you have here is you have it set up as a structure so that now the mentor actually has an incentive to help you because they're getting a share of the profits anyway. Right? So take a look at it, start.dispodragons.com, start.dispodragons.com. You can investigate our profit-sharing mentorship. Now, next thing, I wrote a book. It's called Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. It is 400 pages of how to build this business. It's not a PDF. It's not an well, I mean, you could read it on Kindle, but it's not just like a 20-page pamphlet ebook just covering surface level stuff. This is straight up how to build this business, okay? You can find it on Amazon, Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. You can also go to dove.dispodragons.com, dove.dispodragons.com. Pick up the book, take a picture with it, tag us on social media, and I will send you a code so that you could download the Audible version at no cost to you. Okay. Now, you can also purchase the Audible version by going to dove.dispodragons.com as well. If you are more of an auditory learner and you would prefer to learn that way, have at it, Haas. So let's go to the next slide. We've been doing this for the last, I think, 2 weeks now, going live every single day. And the statistics are pretty interesting because when we take a look at them, here's what we're discovering. About 40% of the people that are watching our content when it goes live and are watching our reels when we chop up our live videos are actually our followers. And the remaining 60%, believe it or not, are people who aren't followers, which means that the algorithm is pushing our content out there, and there are a bunch of you that are watching our content, and we thank you for being here. We thank you for participating in this. And all we ask is a favor. We ask that you like our content, you subscribe our content, and you follow us for more content, right? That's all. That's the cost of entry, right? So we're providing all of this valuable content and valuable information for you, and all we ask in return is that you like and you follow and you subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, please click the bell icon so that way you can get alerts anytime we upload new videos, especially the videos that we are creating and curating for you. So please like and follow us. If you're watching us on Instagram or YouTube right now, if you could be so kind as to give me a quick thumbs up just so that I know that you can hear us okay as well. I'm going to do a quick spot check and then we're going to dive right in. Let me see where this went. Sorry about that. You're seeing my screen right now, and that is Zach, whom I follow, by the way. All right, well, nonetheless, let's move on. Okay, the power of one. This is very important. I want us to talk about this. When you are just getting started, in order for you to get your first deal, you are going to have to practice the power of one, which means I want you focusing on just one thing. I want you to have tunnel vision. I don't want you to have shiny object syndrome, which means that you're bouncing from one technique, strategy to the next, from bouncing from one market to the next. I want you to focus on just one specific market. I've talked about this a lot, but I think it's worth it repeating. The best market is going to be the market in your backyard. It is the market that you know the best. It is the market that you can have access to the easiest. So if you come across a deal in your backyard, you could go and drive to these properties. You could see them physically with your own eyes. You could make contact with the seller. You could build rapport with the seller on a one-on-one basis that you can't do virtually. So focus on just one market right now and try to make it your backyard if possible. If you live in a really small town, if you live in a rural area and there just isn't much activity, there aren't a lot of sales, there isn't a lot of investment activity, you can see that there isn't a lot of fix and flips going on in that area, well then you're probably going to want to pick another market and you're going to want to do this virtually. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to pick a market, plant your flag, stay there as long as it takes for you to become an area expert so that you know what the values are like, so that you know how long properties are sitting on the market, so that you know what the ARV is for a typical bread and butter home, right? You need to focus on just one market, okay? The next thing is pick one tool. Whatever strategy it is that you are going to use to target that market, to target the motivated sellers in that area, I want you to become so proficient at it that you are an expert. Okay. Now, typically, what are the different tools that you can use? You can market yourself, right? Well, you can do email blasts, right? Letter of intent blasts, offer blasts. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can use our tool, which is called the Deal Bazooka, where you can literally send up to 500 offers a day or LOIs a day. There's the LOI blaster. There's Deal Sniper. I've seen a lot of different tools that allow you to send out offers. And if that's a strategy that you're going to use, then give it enough time to where you become super proficient at it, to where you know that tool like the back of your hand. If you're going to be doing SMS marketing, text message marketing, right? There's a bunch of great tools out there. I still use Launch Control. I think Launch Control is still a good tool. I know that there's other people that prefer other platforms, but I like Launch Control for my SMS marketing. If you're thinking about getting into SMS marketing, that's fine. You can visit Launch, Launch, launch.dispodragons.com, and you can sign up for SMS marketing. Again, if you're going to do that, take the time to learn it, take the time to master it, and really go, use it. The best tool is the one that you're going to use on a daily basis, okay? Then there's cold calling. You can do cold calling yourself. Same deal. Keep doing it until you become so proficient at it that you could actually teach someone how to cold call themselves. I tell people all the time, before you start hiring a virtual assistant to do cold calling for you, you really got to know your scripts and you got to know what to say. A, because you want to inspect what the cold callers are doing. You want to inspect what you expect. But B, even if you've got one cold caller making calls for you today, and it's your first day, and you decide, I'm going to go hire a cold caller, and that cold caller gets on the phone, and they get you 10 leads, right, immediately. What are you going to do? If you're brand new and they just brought you 10 leads, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? You don't know yet because you haven't become proficient at it yourself in order to be able to handle, that deal flow. Even if they gave it to you, even if they gave you 50 leads in one day, what would you do? You would probably squander those leads because you're not going to know how to really talk to those sellers. You're not going to know how to really dissect the situation. You're not going to be able to comp it yet. So you have to become proficient at all of these skills before you can go out there and start to delegate it. So pick one tool. Just pick one. I don't care what it is. Whatever tool that you're going to use, make sure that you master that tool. Work on it every day for the next 90 days, bare minimum, before you go adding another tool or another strategy. One schedule. Commit to your schedule, whatever it's going to be. If you're going to be doing this for 30 minutes a day, that's fine. 30 minutes a day is fine. But just commit to it every single day and do it for the next 90 days. Minimum of 30 minutes, if that's what it's going to be. Now, in my personal opinion, you're probably not going to be able to do any real damage unless you can commit to at least 2 minimum or 3 hours a day. 2 to 3 hours a day per day for the next 90 days. All right, think of it like the gym. If you go to the gym, you're going to get a pretty good workout in for about 2 hours, okay? Or an hour and a half, typically, is what it's going to take. Same thing here. It's going to take some time. So you have to commit to a schedule, whatever that schedule is going to be. Now, I've got good news for those of you who are, doing this virtually. If you're going to work a virtual market, right, and you've got a 9 to 5, let's just say that you have a job and you're building this around your career, you're building this around your faith, around your family, around your fitness, around your health. If you're going to do that, one of the advantages if you're on the East Coast is you can actually work well into the evening, because if you're on the East Coast, you can stop at around 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and work the West Coast, because it's 8 p.m. on the West Coast. Now, if you're on the West Coast, one of the advantages that you have is if you're an early riser, you can wake up and you can start at 5 a.m. and you can probably work till about 7 to 8 a.m. because you can work the East Coast markets, and then you can go to your 9 to 5 or take your kids to school or do whatever it is that you have to do. But take advantage of the different time zones, okay? Understand that the different time zones can actually be an advantage if you just look at them that way and you treat them that way and you honor your schedule and you attack it, okay? Next thing is one exit strategy. So whatever exit strategy it is that you're going to master and you want to implement, make sure that you know how to do it, and make sure you know how to do it better than anybody else, okay? So what are the different exit strategies? Well, the obvious one is the all cash offers, right? So you've got sellers, right, that are going to sell a fixer upper to you, and then what you're going to do is you're going to find a fix and flipper, an investor that wants to buy that property, fix it and flip it. That's the obvious one. That is the easiest strategy that most of us know, and most of us teach in when it comes to investing in real estate by wholesaling. And the rules are very simple. You make an offer at 70% of whatever the ARV is, minus the repairs, minus your fee. That's the formula. So get that formula down. And remember that when you're doing all cash offers to fix and flip opportunities, remember that it's 70% of the after repaired value, what it's going to be worth once it is repaired. Then you deduct the cost to repair it. Then you deduct whatever fee you want to earn, right? I would suggest that you put no less than $20,000 as your assignment fee. And then you start working from that angle. You start negotiating from that angle. That's the cash offer. The second one would be subject to, which is where you're looking for people who have homes that have very little equity, typically, not always, very little equity in their homes, and these could be potential mortgages that were FHA mortgage, VA mortgages, or sometimes conventional mortgages where they've taken out seconds on the house, believe it or not, and so they owe a lot on those mortgages, and you are going to be making offers subject to their existing mortgage, is taking over the current mortgages that are on the property. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'd be interested in purchasing your property. I could probably get close to the asking price, or to the price that you're asking, if you work with me creatively, and that would require me to take over the existing loans, the existing mortgages. I'll take over those loans if you sell the property to me for your price, right? Now, there's obviously certain nuances to it, like making sure you get it at the right interest rate, making sure that the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, making sure that the PITI is covered by a renter, either a long-term rental, short-term rental, midterm rental, and now there's pad splits, and now there's co-living. So there's all these different strategies, right? Then there's the novations, which is where you talk to a seller and you basically get them on board. With a novation, it's not a fix and flip, but it's not a completely rehabbed property. It's a property that's in the middle, and you're working with that seller. You can offer them more because your end buyer is not going to be an investor. It's not going to be a flipper. It's going to be an end buyer, somebody that can live in the property and fix it while they live in the property, right? That's typically how a novation would work. Why? Because a person that is an owner occupant who's going to live in that property will offer way more than an investor, and they're probably going to use traditional financing. So in a novation deal, you're going to talk to the seller about them giving you the authorization to be able to hire and fire a real estate agent at your own expense, to be able to make any type of repairs to the property that the buyer might need in order for it to qualify for financing at your expense, right? You're incurring all of that expense, and you're making an offer based on those numbers. Okay, that's another exit strategy. So my point is that you have to pick one of those exit strategies. In my personal opinion, the easiest one at the very, very beginning is probably going to be the all cash offers, right? Very easy to understand, very easy to identify. These are properties that need work. Properties that, some people call ugly homes. They need work, okay? And it's a simple formula, 70% of the ARV minus the cost to repair minus your fee. All right, now, Don't underestimate the power of a JV partner or a mentor. We talked about our profit sharing mentorship just a short while ago. Here's the thing: if you're just getting new, or excuse me, if you're just getting started and you're brand new, or you haven't closed a deal yet, excuse me for 1 second. Nice. If you haven't closed a deal yet, you're going to want a joint venture partner, or you're going to want a mentor to help you out. All right. If you're getting leads and you're going out there and you're identifying a motivated seller. Let's say you identify a motivated seller. Now, a short while ago, I told you that I want you to have tunnel vision. I told you that I want you to pick one strategy and one type of exit strategy. So let's say that you're doing your normal prospecting during your one schedule that you've committed to, and you identify a motivated seller. But that motivated seller doesn't fall into the category of what it is that you're looking for, right? So we are like snipers. We are like foxhounds. We are looking for one thing only, okay? A foxhound is looking for a fox. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so we're looking for one thing only, right? And we're looking for let's say it's all cash. But then you get someone that's super, super motivated. The house is a little too nice, and it doesn't quite fit into the all cash strategy, because if you make them an all cash offer, they're clearly not going to take it. The house is just too nice for that. But they just purchased a house 2 or 3 years ago, and you see that there isn't really much equity. Now what you do is you find a JV partner or a mentor. Don't throw that lead away just because you haven't quite mastered that additional strategy. That's where you reach out to somebody and you say, hey, I need help with this lead, right? I've got a potential seller here. They are super motivated. I'm used to cash deals right now, and so maybe you could help me walk through this entire process. That is one of the reasons that we created the profit sharing mentorship program within our organization, so that people aren't throwing these leads away. They actually have someone that can help them close them for them, and everybody makes money. So again, if you're interested in that, go to start.dispodragons.com. If you are a veteran wholesaler, somebody who's closing deals, and you're doing this on a regular basis, and you're solo, right? You may not be a part of a team, but you're solo and you're running your own business. We are looking for mentors as well to help us with the mentees that come aboard. So please reach out to us, start.dispodragons.com. Take daily action and stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. Okay, so this is another thing that you're going to have to do in order to get your first deal. Number one, you got to get to work. All right, you have to get to work. I just posted a video earlier this morning, and I'll repeat it in different terms. When I am coaching someone, or when I am talking to someone, or when they're sliding into my DMs and they're asking me, "Hey, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 months. I haven't been able to get a deal. Hey, I've been doing this for a year. I haven't been able to get to a deal. Can you help me understand what I'm doing wrong?" One of the first things that I ask them is, "Well, talk to me a little bit about your schedule. How many hours are you committing to this on a daily basis?" And some people will say, well, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, believe it or not. And then I'll say, okay, so for 3 hours, walk me through what it is that you're doing. And then the first thing they'll say is, well, for about 45 minutes, what I'm doing in the beginning is I'm watching all these videos, I'm watching all these TikToks, I'm watching all these trainings, and I'm learning. I'm learning for 45 minutes. Okay, great. I applaud that. For 45 minutes. So you're studying and you're learning for 45 minutes. What do you do next? Well, after 45 minutes, the next thing I do is I go and I start to look for data. So I hop onto Batch Leads, and I'm just looking at all the data that I've downloaded. I've got a data list of about 10,000 people now, and so I'm analyzing that data. So I spend my time trying to come up with filters so that I can download data and I can review them. Okay, great. So for the first 45 minutes, you're watching videos. Then the second 45 minutes, you're creating filters so that you can download data. Am I hearing you right? Yes. Okay, great. Now talk to me about the last 45 minutes or the last hour. What is it that you're doing for the last hour? Well, for the last hour, then what I'm doing is after I've downloaded all the data, then I start looking at the data and I start sorting it, and I try to comp those properties to see if there's any type of a deal. Okay. So for the last 3 months, for the last year, what you're telling me is that for your first hour, you're watching videos. For your second hour, you're downloading data. And then by the third hour, you're comping the data that you're downloading. And during those 3 hours, what you're saying is you make no contact with any buyers, you make no contact with any sellers, you make no contact with any agents. And they're like, yeah, okay. That's the reason you haven't closed your first deal. Because our business is a contact sport, and it's all about speaking to sellers, speaking to buyers, speaking to realtors that have listings or off market listings that they want to unload, right? Making contact with these people on a daily basis. If you are not making contact with sellers, if you are not making contact with buyers, if you are not making contact with agents, then you are not doing any income producing activities, because those are the only things that are going to produce, activities are the only ones that are going to produce income for us. That is it. Everything else is just admin and education and organizational and structural tasks. It's busy work. That's pretty much what it turns out to. So the next slide is going to tell you that no, we're not going to really talk about comping right now. Yeah, we'll talk about comping too. But really, what should have come next was make contact with more people. You have to make more contact with more people, and however you're going to choose to make contact with those people is entirely up to you. You know, some people are going to choose cold calling. Some people are going to choose DMs, right? And and when I say DMs, direct messaging, you can do that on Facebook Marketplace. You can do that on Instagram. You can do that all types of places. Some people are going to choose email through like Craigslist. Whatever it might be, whatever strategy that you're going to use, you just need to make contact with more people, right? That's just the bottom line. You have to make contact with more people. For 1 second, I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to see the comments on Instagram because my screen closed, and so I haven't been able to see them, and I haven't been able to respond to any of them right now. So just bear with me. Anyway, all right. Let's go back to comping. Okay, so comping should be the last thing that you do. I want that. I want to repeat that. Comping should be the last thing that you do. For whatever reason, people seem to think that comping is the first thing that they should learn. But the truth is, comping isn't really going to do you any good if you don't have a seller, if you don't have a contract, if you don't have a deal or a potential opportunity. Comping is the last thing that you do. The first thing that you do is you talk or make contact with a seller, you talk or make contact with a realtor, you identify an opportunity, you identify the best exit strategy, and then you comp. Okay, that's the order in which you need to be doing things right now. Comping should be the last thing that you do. And for a brand new person, when they're brand new, often in the beginning, it takes them 45 minutes to an hour to comp a deal. Because you're brand new, there's no shame in that. That's just the reality of it. I remember when I first got started, and I had to comp deals out. It would take me like 45 minutes to an hour to analyze a deal. So if you're brand new, right, and you know that you can only work this business about 2, maybe 3 hours a day, that's all you've got, and it's taking you about 45 minutes to an hour to comp a deal, why would you want to use your time, your precious time, the time that you have available to be able to go out there and find opportunities and to be able to find deals? Why would you want to use that time just to comp? My recommendation is you make contact with as many sellers as you can. You make contact with as many realtors as you can. You then identify whether or not you have an opportunity based on the conversation, based on the messages that have been going back and forth. And if you do have an opportunity there, then what I would suggest you do is that you hand that off to a JV partner, a mentor, and you tell them, I think I have a deal. Can we analyze this together? And then you let them do the comping for you. Look, I can comp a property in 5 minutes or less, unless it's something that's really, really, really rare, right? Unless it's like a 7-bedroom, 5,000 square foot. Of course, it's going to be difficult to comp those type of properties. But if you've got your typical 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, 1,500 square feet on a 10,000 square foot lot, it should take the average person, a veteran, a mentor, a JV partner, it shouldn't take them more than 5 to 10 minutes to comp it, just using a free tool like Zillow. Now, I know that there are other paid tools out there that you can use. Batch will comp for you. Privy will comp for you. PropStream will comp for you. They will show you all of those comps. Listen, Zillow will tell you what they think it's worth. Everybody has their own algorithmic formula on how they come up with value. I trust myself more than I trust them because a lot of them are going to use proximities, whereas when I'm comping, I know certain rules like number one, you shouldn't be crossing bridges. You shouldn't be crossing freeways. You shouldn't be crossing major highways. You shouldn't be crossing streams, lakes, rivers, natural bodies of waters. You shouldn't be crossing mountains. right? I don't want to use comps that are more than 14 days old because that way I've got my pulse on my finger on the pulse of the market. I don't want to use comps that that are beyond 20% square footage of the structure. So there's all these internal rules that I know, and I know AI, people are going to say that AI can comp a lot better and you can set all those parameters and set all those rules. I haven't seen it yet, personally. Okay, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it yet. In some cases, you can be well. I'll give you an example here in Los Angeles. And here in Los Angeles, on one block, you're in LA. You cross the street, you're now in Beverly Hills. The values change. That's just the way it is, right? And you have to be able to know that when you're comping those properties. Anyway, I digress. My point is that if you have a deal, all you have to do is go to a JV partner or a mentor and say, hey, can you help me analyze this deal? Let's look at it together. They'll do that in about 5 to 10 minutes. You shadow them, you watch them. They tell you, yeah, we got something, we don't got something, and it's done. Versus you trying to comp something for 45 minutes when really in the beginning, all you should be doing is talking to sellers, talking to agents, talking to buyers. That's how you're going to get your first deal, all right? You got to make more offers. You got to send more offers out. Now, however you want to send those offers out is entirely up to you. Again, there's tools out there that can send dozens of offers for you on a daily basis, hundreds of offers for you on a daily basis. I personally use one called the Deal Bazooka. We have that in our school community at skool.dispodragons.com, school.dispodragons.com. You can learn more about the Deal Bazooka. It'll send out up to 400 offers for you per day. All you need is the data. You get the data from batch leads, PropStream. You look for all the properties that are actively on the market, maybe on the market for more than 90 days. You download that data, and then you upload it into a spreadsheet, and the Deal Bazooka does the rest for you. And they'll send out pre-filled out LOIs, letters of intent, to the agents on your behalf. That's one way to do it, right? The other thing is you can just send out text messages, right? And you can just send a text message out, hey, here's my offer. You can do verbal offers. You can write offers on a napkin. Okay. Now, I've said this before, but I'm going to say this again. Offers are especially when you're working with an agent. All right. If you're working with an agent and you present an offer to the agent and it's in writing, not verbal, but in writing, and that it can be in the form of an email, it can be in the form of a text, it can be in the form of a lipstick on a napkin, whatever. If it's in writing, that agent's job and responsibility is to present that offer to the seller, unless their listing agreement stipulates that. The listing agent is not to present any offers below a certain price, or the listing agent is not to present any offers to the seller in any form unless it's on a state-approved Board of Realtors form, period. Most agents don't put that language in their listing agreements. Okay, they don't have that language in their listing agreements. Most agents, unfortunately, are pretty lazy, so they're not going to do it. So there is language in there that the agent is to present all written offers to the seller. So when you get an agent that says something like, hey, I'm not presenting this offer to the seller unless it's on a state form, your response is going to be, thank you for letting me know. Mr. or Mrs. Agent, do you have something in the listing agreement that stipulates that you are not to present any offers unless they are on the state board realtor forms? Question mark. See what they say. See how they respond. Now, if they say, well, this offer is way too low, I'm not going to present it. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Agent. Please let me know if your listing agreement stipulates that you are not to present any offers below X price. And most of them don't have that language on there, and they'll be shocked that you'll even know that fact, okay? You got to make more offers either through the agent, make more offers directly to the seller. The reason that most people are afraid of making offers, okay, I'll tell you why. The reason people are afraid of making offers is because, number one, they don't want to get yelled at. Number two, they don't want to lose a potential deal. And then number three, they don't want to go and have to start prospecting again. They don't want to start looking for more sellers. It feels better, safer, more comfier, more cozy to see I've got this one seller that I've been talking to for the last 2 weeks, and I don't want to say anything to hurt this seller's feelings. I don't want to say anything to upset this seller. I don't want to say anything to make the seller get mad at me. I don't want to say anything to make the seller hang up on me. I don't want to say anything to make the seller say, F off. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So what happens? You never make the offer. You don't make the offer. You'd rather have them like you as opposed to just making the offer, right? Because you know that if you make the offer, if you shoot your shot, and if you come in a little too low, you know that if they reject it, you might have to go back and then go find more sellers, and you don't want to do that work, right? Just make the offer. Make the offer, right? At least you know. It's either a no, a yes, a maybe, or pound rocks, right? That's it. That's it. Make more offers. Now, another tool or another tip that I'm going to give you, and we're going to close on this one, is you need to follow up with your hot leads, your warm leads, and your lost opportunities. Now, if you have a hot lead, someone that wants to sell. Now, what is a hot lead? In my opinion, a hot lead is someone that has given me four responses. Number one, they've given me the price, which is easy. That's common. Number two, they've told me what their time frame is. They want to move in the next 30, 60, 90 days, right? 30 to 90 days, that's it. I know they want to move in the next 30 to 90 days. The next one is I know where they're going to go to next. So they've already identified where they're going to move to. They've already identified where they're going to relocate to, all right? So the price, time frame, relocation, and then the last reason is I'll ask them, why are you selling? And then they share it with me. Typically, to get to the fourth question, which is why are you selling, I have to be able to get to the first three. Okay, and I have a whole script on how to do that. Watch some of our older videos. They're on YouTube. They're all there, okay? So hot leads you need to follow up with at least once a day minimum. And that means you're going to have to call them in the morning, and you're going to probably have to call them at night. And that means that if they don't pick up the phone, you're probably going to have to call twice. If they send you the voicemail, hang up, call again, send you the voicemail again. You know, some people try it even 3 times. Doesn't matter. That means you're going to have to send them a text message after they send you the voicemail the second time. All right, these are the things that you're going to have to do because your leads are my leads and my leads are your leads. And if you're talking to that lead, you are a fool to think that nobody else is talking to those leads, that nobody else is making them offers too. We're all fishing out of the same pond. And so if you don't get a hold of that prospect, somebody else is going to get a hold of that seller, and then you have the potential to lose that contract. Okay, so you need to get a hold of them. All right, you will lose more business by not following up than you will ever lose by being too overly enthusiastic about working with that seller, about getting that deal under contract. Hot leads, you got to get a hold of them at least, you got to reach out to them at least once or twice a day for at least 14 days until they tell you, hey, I'm not interested anymore. Okay. Warm leads, you're going to follow up with them every 3 to 4 days. And then lost opportunities. So lost opportunities are a great way to pick up business. There are times where you're going to make an offer to a seller and you're going to hold firm on your price. You're going to hold firm to what your maximum allowable offer is, and you're not going to exceed that because you know that if you exceed that, number one, you may not be able to perform, and number two, you may not be able to get the deal sold. So you're going to stand firm on your price because at the offer price that you make, that's the offer price that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, 1,000%, you can perform at that price. So let's say that you've made that offer and the seller has declined your offer and they decided to go with somebody else who offered more. They just offered more. All right, great. Now, what a lot of people do is they just get discouraged and then they give up on it. No, I want you to call that seller back, 3 or 4 days later. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you went with another buyer. I just wanted to check in. Did that other buyer make their earnest money deposit? And they're either going to say yes, or they're going to say no, or they're going to say, like, I don't know what's going on. Those are going to be their responses, okay? Okay, no problem, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'll follow up with you a little bit later on this week. You give them a call 7 days later. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Let me close this down. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's been a week now. Just wanted to check in. Did the buyer make their earnest money deposit? Yes, no, or I don't know what's going on. Okay, great. If they say no, right? Oh, it doesn't matter what they say, really. If they say yes, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, no problem, I'll follow up with you a week later. If they say no, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't know what contract you've signed, but typically there's a time period between when they have to make that earnest money deposit. I would call the title company, the closing company, the escrow company, and I would see, check in and see what's going on. Right? I'll call you later in a couple days. And then you follow up again. Now, if they say yes, the deposit was made, great. Great job, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Congratulations. It looks like the buyer's moving forward. I'll follow up with you a week or 2 weeks later. Listen, a lot of times investors, especially when they offer more than they typically should, a lot of time they're going to cancel. Okay, there's a large percentage of deals that fall out. And if you're there and you're making contact with the seller on a regular basis and you're showing your persistence and your enthusiasm to be able to work with them, you're going to be able to pick up these deals. So you call them later on the third week. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, just checking in. I know that the buyer made the earnest money deposit, 3 weeks ago. I just wanted to see if they've completed all their inspections and if they're going to move forward. What's the seller going to say? Again, yes, no, or I don't know what's going on. Okay, and then that's your opportunity to build rapport again. You'll get deals this way. A lot of people, after they get their offer rejected, or the seller chooses another offer, they just let that lead fall by the wayside, and they don't go back and they don't follow up. Now, in many cases, these investors are going to close. Okay, they'll close the deal, but in many cases they don't. So it's you've got a 50-50 chance here. Go back and start following up with all of the leads or the lost opportunities that you've had. And I think that's our last slide. All right, so just to recap, if you guys are not following us on YouTube or on Instagram, please make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you follow us. Make sure that you give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you give us a heart. Make sure that you do all of these things. We're doing this for you, right? It's free to you, but the cost of entry is just a subscription or like, follow, fan, whatever, all of it, okay? Make sure that you also participate in our school community. There, we do have a free school community, and it's at school, skool.dispodragons.com, skool.dispodragons.com. If you have a chance, pick up this book, Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. It is on Amazon. And lastly, I think that was it. Make sure that you shoot me a DM if you have a deal that you need some help with, or that you just you might need a second set of eyes on. If you need some help with something and you're not quite sure how to handle it, we can take a look at that deal for you. We can analyze it, and we can also dispo your deal, right? So if you have a deal and you need buyers, we work almost every single major metro market, okay? We have VIP buyers in almost every major metro market. We want to help you get your deal sold. All right, everybody, have a great day. Let's get to work.